Hi. If you're watching this, that means you've already seen the title of this. Um, I wanted to talk a bit more about imposter syndrome and why we feel it, why it's normal, and why I believe you should lean into it. Um, Chances are you've encountered this if you're anywhere near my age. For my friends watching, it's normal. Well, let's define it first. Imposter syndrome, by definition, let's search this bad boy up, is a psychological experience where individuals doubt their ability and success despite evidence of competence. Feeling not enough. Feeling like you're an imposter amongst people who really do know what they're doing. I hate to break it to you, and it doesn't really help, but it's kind of obvious that no one really knows what they're doing. It's hard to believe sometimes because people really look like they know, and maybe they know baseline knowledge, but you think about it, like we're all doing life for the first time, right? And even people who are in their jobs 5, 10 years later, like sometimes, if you're not growing, if you're not doing things that are new, you shouldn't be comparing yourself to those kind of people anyways, right? But the people who are trying to grow, who are trying to do things that are new, and you're comparing yourself against them, they don't know what they're doing either. A lot of the times it's really the self-confidence in yourself. The confidence in yourself. Oh, this is so bad. I haven't done um I haven't done a podcast episode in a minute. So apologies if I'm butchering this up. But the people who, if you are comparing yourselves to them, who are growing, who are enterprising, who are striving to be better, a lot of times they don't know what they're doing. They're trying their best. Just like you, right? Everyone's so caught up in their own worlds that you're no different from them. And I think that the moment you realize that, the moment you believe and see that no one actually knows what they're doing, it kind of snaps you out of imposter syndrome, right? There's two ways to look at it. Either you see it as, oh, people don't know what they're doing either. Or if you really think they're like the shit, right? And you're working with them, what does that say about you? What kind of opportunities can you learn, right? You hear the phrase of like, it's only delusion if it's not going to come true. You're only an imposter if you really can't do it. But if you hang out with those kind of people, if you work with them, eventually you will become that excellence, right? Or you can see it as, people don't really know what they're doing, and that's mostly true for the most part. People are just trying to do what they can and learn. So if you're struggling through imposter syndrome, it's like you have to almost be delusional enough to believe that you'll be able to do anything. And that comes with self-reflection, personal development that comes with doing hard things, right? If you if let's say the worst day in your life, like you lost all your family and friends, and sorry, this is such a bad example. Okay, let's say the worst day in your life, you were running an Ironman, okay? You were running an Ironman. Worst day of your life. You can't make it through, and eventually you do, out of sheer luck, determination, and will. Everything that you do, whether it's making a spreadsheet, whether it's, I don't know, coding a software program for work, whether it's dealing with a breakup, whether it's doing literally anything hard, after you've done something so gruesome and stressful, like, you eventually don't even see it as stress. You're like, oh, like, this isn't bad. Like, this isn't as bad as how I was during the Ironman. It's like when people, one of my friends, she's like, oh, like, this relationship is not that bad. Like, these fights aren't that bad because I remember I had it worse with another guy, right? Like, I think a lot of it is having a baseline comparison in terms of how much stress you've taken throughout your life. And knowing that with enough determination, if you really wanted to, you would. You would. That's a true quote. That whole phrase of if he wanted to, he would. He would. If he really wanted to. I'm a firm believer that if you truly want to do something, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And I'm not religious, right? I tell my friends this all the time, but my favorite religious quote, I'd say, is, God will give you anything at the price of labor, roughly. Is that the quote? Right? It's true. So if you ever feel inadequate, if you feel like you're the bottom of the barrel, it should only motivate you to work harder, 1. 2, you have to realize that you're in that barrel for a reason, right? You see all these great people around you, that means you're great too. And if you truly don't think you are, eventually you will. Right? And 3, you have to have the self-confidence. You have to put in the work and the self-reflection. It's not a bad thing. Imposter syndrome has a negative connotation. It's not a bad thing. I think you need to feel a level of inadequacy to achieve something great. Because if you're in comfort, if you're cruising, if you're happy even, what is driving you? Money? You can never have enough money. So you have to have this level of inadequacy to achieve something great, because that's what pushes you, right? Obviously, there's a balance. To know when to give yourself grace, to know and be intentional about when you're feeling happy and when you're feeling grateful for what you have and what you have achieved. But if you're on the grind, if you're working to be a better self, if you're working to be better in your career, to advance, you have to have a level of inadequacy. I believe that. So I don't think imposter syndrome is a bad thing. I think it's very extremely natural. And I think everyone in their career, if they have done even anything remotely great, has felt it. Right? You look at overachievers. You look at people who are successful. They're all insecure. They're insecure about not being enough. They're insecure about their success. They're insecure about how much money they make, right? It's that insecurity of being inadequate that drives people to be better. So, if you want to be ultra successful, you always have to feel inadequate. But however, it comes at a cost, right? Because those insecurities leak through all aspects of your life, right? What is success? Is it monetarily? Or is it monetary? Is it money? Is it that promotion? Is it a title? Or is success getting what you want? And maybe that could be a family. Maybe that could be a white picket fence, right? That's another dilemma. Right, so what does it mean to be successful? I heard this from Chris Williamson the other day. He talked about, I think, was it Chris Williamson? It was someone. He talked about how success is getting exactly what we want. Think about it like this, right? If you work so hard to get the title of director, for example, but you sacrifice your relationships, your health, what have you really won? Money, title, prestige, clout? Truly, what have you really won? If that's what you want, if that's what you define as the pinnacle of success, then yes, you are successful. If not, that's not your definition of success. So I encourage you to find out what that is. I don't even know what mine is, to be honest with you. But I know that in time and in self-reflection, you have to truly be honest with yourself and what that is. I feel like as young professionals, we always strive for more options, right? Whether it's, like that job's going to give me more options. More options for what? MBA school? More options for romantic partners? More options for better connections? More options for what? If you keep chasing more options, you're never going to be happy. I think Peter Thiel mentioned something about chasing options is a bad thing. Peter Thiel is one of the CEOs of Palantir, by the way. And I think he's true. I think what he says is right. Because chasing options doesn't mean anything, right? It's like a placeholder for what you want. Why can't you just figure out what you want and work towards that goal? But anyways, back to imposter syndrome. It's okay to not feel enough sometimes. But as David Goggins says, you have to build the stack of undeniable truth that you are who you say you are. You have to think about the times that you've overcome challenges that you never thought you would. That you broken across the mental barrier you had for yourself. Because the one thing that holds a lot of people back from succeeding is self-confidence. It's even thinking that they can achieve something and take action on it, that makes all the difference. If you believe you can make it, you're already halfway there. Obviously, it's a cheesy quote, but like I think a lot of it is true. You never want to reject yourself. How do people reject yourself? How do people do that? By not thinking, by even like removing them for a chance. Like, oh, I could never achieve that. I could never buy that car. I could never do that. You're taking power away from yourself. You're relinquishing it. For what? To not accept, to not challenge yourself to be better, to achieve more. You don't want it bad enough. I think that's true. Oh, I can never do that, because you don't want it as bad. But if that's the case, then you need to be honest with yourself. And being honest with yourself, even if it's at a level that, oh, look, I want a 6-pack, but I really love food. You just have to be honest with yourself and accept that. Don't be like, oh, I really want a 6-pack. I can never do that. Because you don't want to put in the work. Then tell yourself you don't want it bad enough. That's about it. Be honest with yourself, your excuses, what you want, and accept them. So imposter syndrome. You are where you are because someone thought you deserved to be there. Someone thought you were qualified enough. So with your self-confidence, with taking action, with believing in yourself, even if it's delusion. I don't think delusion is a bad thing either. You can do anything you put your mind to. Use that imposter syndrome feeling as I'm different from everyone else. Not in a positive way, not in a negative way, just different. And you carve out your own path. You might doubt your abilities, you might doubt your successes, but you don't doubt yourself. Thank you. That is my last episode. Not last episode, sorry. I don't even know what the episode this is, but yeah. Sorry, I just ranted the entire time. I hope that helped. And if you're going through it right now, just know that you're not alone. I think it's very normal for people to feel that way. And use it to your advantage. How can you shift your mindset in a way that helps you professionally? What can you learn about this opportunity? How can you learn from it? Thank you.